3.
We're back with another episode of the Fan Factory podcast with another special guest today. We've got Ty Routon, better known as the Kansas City XFactor, Kansas City Chiefs superfan. Ty, how's it going, my man?
Living the dream, man. I'm ready for football. Free agency's kind of fun. It's like a shopping spree right now. So, yeah, and then we'll get into the draft. And then before we know it, football will be back, man.
Yeah, it seems like it's been a shopping spree for one team at least in the league.
Yeah. the team that never does shopping sprees is doing it. Yeah, that's an act of desperation by Belichick.
Yeah, just because you have money doesn't mean you have to spend it.
Nope, exactly. You can always roll that over in the NFL.
Awesome. So let's get into it here. So I think like one of the things I always love to know when we interview, fans like yourself is, how did XFactor come to be? Who is XFactor? Where did he come from? How did XFactor come to be who he is today?
Well, it's actually a pretty awesome story. So I actually started painting my body half red and half yellow and would just wear shorts and a wig. And I did that for 7 years. And then Andre Rison came and nicknamed himself Spider-Man. So I made a red and yellow Spider-Man outfit. Well, he got cut or let go after 3 years. I'm like, I'm never tying myself to a player because they're going to, end up leaving. So me and a bunch of buddies tried to come up with a new character. And I actually, after a weekend of partying, like not going to sleep and partying, my buddy had an all weekend party. I went and took a shower and literally all of a sudden I just had a vision. The name came to me, everything. Basically what it said was, I'm now XFactor, that stands for external factors like rain, snow, coaching, injuries are all external factors. I represent the greatest XFactor in the whole wide world, all 80,000 screaming Chiefs fans at Arrowhead Stadium and the millions watching at home. The funny part of that story is I went back to my buddy's party and they were all watching NASCAR. I don't like NASCAR. And I jumped in front of the TV and told them that I was in the shower and I had a vision and, told them about XFactor and I was going to go lead all Chiefs fans to the ultimate promised land, which was a Super Bowl. And it was like 50 guys in one said, Ty, what did you just go smoke? And now here we are, I just celebrated 21 years as XFactor. And yeah, they all laugh at that story now. Like, look at him now. The guy's in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Brought a couple Guinness World Records for crowd noise, Arrowhead Stadium. Set another Guinness World Record for watching 70 straight hours of football. And yeah, I can go on and on. So yeah, those guys that were there that day, they're just blown away where it is now.
Awesome. So I got a question for you here. And like a lot of these super fans that we do talk to, all these great people, it seems like a lot of times it's more about the fun and the joy you bring to the games. The wins and losses aren't the most important thing. But saying that, like, what is XFactor like on Monday after the Super Bowl? Not to put salt in any wounds, but what were you like the Monday after?
Well, I've been a super fan for so long, and I've been, since I was in my mom's womb, I've been a Chiefs fan. So, me personally, I always just wanted to see Chiefs in the Super Bowl. That was always my dream. And man, we went through so many years of playoff losses, and I was at most of those games, even the away games. It's just so special just being in the Super Bowl. There's 30 other teams, which we were always in that 30 other team sitting and watching the Super Bowl, so it's still special. The 2 weeks building up to it, we got one year before, most amazing thing ever. I was blessed to be down in Miami for that game. It's any given Sunday, I've seen so many Chiefs losses over the years, it's part of the deal. Sometimes it's just not your day, even though, you may be the better team. You know, it's like quicksand. Some goes wrong and then you try harder and something else goes wrong. That's just football, you know. So I'm still extremely proud. There's very, very few teams that go to the Super Bowl, you know, win or lose, don't matter, and follow up the next year and get back there. So definitely special and so grateful, you know. So we'll come back stronger. I have no doubt. The league better be on notice. We're mad again.
Well, you've got the quarterback to do it. That's for sure.
Yeah. We are so blessed to have Patrick. I even got the boy tattooed on my right arm. That's how much so happy that we finally drafted a quarterback. You know, we went from 1983 till we took Patrick Mahomes, drafting a first round quarterback, you know, and it was just retread after retread after retread, you know. And so to have our own boy, which is kind of awesome story too. I do a lot of charity work, and we have a big draft party at Arrowhead, and I took about 20 kids with disabilities and cancer and their family to that draft party. And I kept on, they were all, who are we taking? I said, we're going to take Patrick Mahomes, and we're going to have to trade up to get him. Well, then the news media always wants to interview me and wants to know my pick. And I went on 3 of the 4 local news stations calling my shot, saying Patrick Mahomes, and we're going to have to trade up. Well, all those reporters, you know, were talking about this Watson guy. And I'm like, no, the dude, great college quarterback. I think he's going to be a real good NFL quarterback. But Patrick Mahomes has the it factor in all areas. That's who I want. And yeah, when they traded up and said, you know, that we took Patrick, all 3 of those reporters literally bowed to me because they said I was the only guy there that called our shot.
Yeah. So you just mentioned the Mahomes tattoo. How many other Chiefs centric tattoos you got on you?
God, I'm gonna have to count. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of them.
Okay. So. Are they all players, or do you just have like a logo?
Yeah, logo. I've like got Spider-Man. When I was Spider-Man, XFactor with the logo. I got Derek Thomas tattooed on my heart, DT58, because that was my boy, my all-time favorite player, and he's actually the one that got me started in charity work. So yeah, he's on my heart. And then yeah, I've got Tyreek Hill tattooed on one arm and Patrick Mahomes. I'll see if I can pull up my arms once because they're kind of cool. There's Tyreek Hill.
Oh wow, that's super detailed.
Yeah, and Patrick Mahomes looks like the same on the other. So he's actually throwing a no-look catch-up pass to Tyreek Hill on my other arm. So
that's perfect.
That's very cool. Very cool stuff. So before we got on, I was kind of talking to you about how I lived in Kansas City and I worked for the Chiefs. So my first day on the job was the draft. And the year I was there, you drafted at the time, Eric Berry. So
oh, yeah.
what can you tell me about, like, you know, going to draft parties and then how those are for you? Because you've gone to a couple different draft parties, I think, and kind of get into that. And then kind of like Eric Berry, what he's meant to the Chiefs.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, they didn't have it last year. Still no word if they're going to have it this year. But I went to 20 straight draft parties at Arrowhead Stadium, and Eric Berry was another guy that I actually called my shot. I called him. I called Dwayne Bowe. I called Derek Johnson. I can go on and on and on. Dorsey. I called a bunch of other guys too on my draft picks. I'm usually pretty in tune with it. You know, and I was so excited about Eric Berry. You know, and you know, it's one of those that Eric Berry's like my hero. You know, the guy battled cancer. I actually the story about him was 2 days before we went out to Oakland the year he found out he had cancer. I did an appearance with him, was talking to him. Then I went out to Oakland to the game actually, and I could just tell someone right with him. And then it was the following Monday that it came out that he'd been tested and found out he had cancer. You know, but just the way he battled that illness, you know, and to get back on the field and play, you know, I think it just took a toll on his body where, you know, he couldn't sustain at the high level. That's why he's no longer in the league. So he's one of those guys that what could have been, kind of like Bo Jackson. Bo Jackson's one of my all-time favorites. It's always that what could have been if he could have, you know, stayed completely healthy and had a long career. But, you know, at the end of the day, I love EB. You know, he's one of the most down to earth guys. You know, you meet him, he's just so humbled and, you know, not the prima donna, you know, too good for you. And I just love EB. So, yeah.
Awesome.
I was pretty excited when we drafted him. I remember that night very well.
We were there. I guess we were there together because I was there.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. But
there's a lot of people at those draft parties, aren't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big thing.
It's unfortunate because, like, when I was there, I think they were the worst team in the league, coming off one of the worst teams in the league. They're like 4 or 5.
We were. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the curse I run with the teams in the big leagues. They come off their worst teams.
That was during the stretch where we had 10 wins in 3 years. So you weren't the curse. we were on a bad streak. That's why when you say losing the Super Bowl, hey, we won 16 games in a year. I went through 3 years where we only won 10, you know, and the final year was right before Andy Reid came to town. You know, we had the #1 pick, took Eric Fisher, which unfortunately we just released. I love Fish, but, you know, it is a business and players do get injured. They do get old, you know, and it's time to reload and draft some new young guys.
Yeah, this is a question that I think Lyle, I'm going to steal from Lyle, but has there ever been a time when you had a conflict or you had something else scheduled during a Chiefs game and you couldn't attend it or watch it?
No. So, Sundays are free for me, you know. I'm very religious. I go to church every week, and my pastor gives me a waiver. He says, you got a bigger flock to go tend to, you know, 80,000 versus the 50 here at church. So, you know, go do that. This year, I did have a streak of 239 straight games at Arrowhead that after the home opener, I chose not to go back to Arrowhead this year because 17,000 fans, even when we were horrible, you know, winning 2 games in a year, we had 50,000 fans there. And, you know, the game day experience at Arrowhead like no other. And I went to that first game and I was literally bored. You know, it wasn't the same. And I'm like, I'm not going to pay extra money because our season tickets went away and we had to buy single game tickets. And I went from sitting in row 2 in the end zone where I've sat for 23 years now to sit in the very farthest row of the upper deck for $235. In the year before, the previous 2 games, the playoff games, even the AFC Championship game, I'd only paid $250 to sit in row 2. So bang for my buck. I was just like, I'm out this year. I'm going to relax, regroup, get that fire. I am 45, so it is harder to get that fire and passion going to, you know, be a super fan, because literally when I'm at Arrowhead, I don't stop, and I'm, you know, trying to get everybody pumped up. So I'm out there for 13 hours a day, you know, 5 o'clock in the morning before a 12 o'clock game, getting everybody fired up. And then I'm usually one of the last to leave the stadium. So, you know, it was good to, you know, take a little break and, you know, just regroup and get ready to go back when Arrowhead's full again.
Yeah, I've heard, I live in Dallas, so I've had friends that went to Cowboys games this year, and I heard it was a very almost like preseason-esque atmosphere at, you know, a regular season game. It's not fun then, right? Like you have a lot of restrictions given to you, where you can go to concession stands, you know, wearing a mask,
Yep.
all the screaming. So definitely can appreciate the atmosphere not being what you're used to.
Yeah, well, and even our preseason games, typically we have 60,000 there. So 17,000, I'm like, I was like shocked. I'd never seen, well, I'll take that back. in the mid 80s, the first game I went to, it was like that. But the Chiefs are horrible, and they've been horrible forever, but since I started going regularly in 89, then, I had never seen it like that. So, yeah, I'm right. Arrowhead is just remarkable. I'm actually the guy that helped start the 2 Guinness World Records for crowd noise, so that means a lot. We impact the game, probably more than any other venue in the NFL. When we do have world record noise, and not having that 17,000, it don't matter how loud you scream, you're not even going to come close to what 80,000. So yeah, just a whole atmosphere and vibe. It just wasn't there this year.
What so Sunday game happens Monday through Saturday. Are you rewatching the games, kind of analyzing them, being able to just kind of sit back on maybe your couch and watch the game and while you're not being a fan and just kind of being able to watch the team? Or are you taking the Chiefs? Are those 6 days, are they just out of sight, out of mind, and then just get me back to Sunday?
No, honestly, being a super fan, it's a 365 day gig, and you have to stay on top of things, because I do a lot of interviews. So, I got to know who the players are, and I'm intrigued anyways, I love it. Chief stuff typically just always brings me nothing but happiness. So yeah, being at the game, I do miss a lot of things, like real close things. I do have the Jumbotron, so I do like to go back and watch the game, and analyze it and see what I missed at the stadium, and then a lot of times, we're going crazy and we miss stuff anyways, because my section's pretty rowdy. But yeah, I definitely love to rewatch it. And then, like I said, I'm always in tune with any news. As soon as it breaks, something happens, my phone goes berserk anyways. People are, asking me, why did we cut this player? Or, wow, we signed this player. What do you think? And so yeah, I'm always in tune with it all.
Awesome. I know you mentioned you've got the streak, the Arrowhead streak. Are you going to road games as well, or what's your away game setup?
I've been to 100 away games
Okay.
over the years. Yeah, especially the older I've got, I don't do near as many now with children and stuff. It just doesn't allow the flexibility, but I still typically make at least 2 away games a year. And I've been to every NFL stadium except Atlanta. I was actually going to cross that off my bucket list 2 years ago, and that was about to happen until D Ford was called offsides, and yeah, Marsha Brady was able to beat us in the AFC Championship game. So I'm still waiting on the Atlanta trip.
Very cool. Lyle, we might as well just get into it. Like, let's talk Kansas City BBQ.
Okay.
Lyle and I are big fans of Kansas City BBQ. Like I told you before we got on, is that we did a trip down there in October of this year. So can you rank your top 3 Kansas City BBQs for us, and we'll give you what we think.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you first and foremost where the number 1 is. It's in the parking lot at Arrowhead Stadium at game days. Those are the true Miz. The Master's been doing it for 30 to 50 years, and hold their recipes so secret. It's like top secret. But yeah, by far the best is at Arrowhead Stadium. Now, if you go into corporate, me personally, I love Q39. That's probably my favorite now. It's a newer one. I love what used to be Oklahoma Joe's. That's my number 2. And I'm a Gates guy. I love Gates and Arthur Bryant's. Arthur Bryant's and Gates are both, pretty neck and neck there. So yeah, those are my 3.
I mean, you nailed it on the head for me. I haven't had the Arrowhead barbecue yet, so we got to do that. We'll come out to a game. and we'll have to do that. But Q39 was awesome. We went there. The ribs, the meat just came right off the rib. The burn ends were great. Then I would say Oklahoma Joe's, and then actually we went to a little local place. I don't remember the name. Slaps. It's called Slaps.
Slaps. I've only had Slaps once, and that was for the home opener. And yeah, boom, what I had, unbelievable. Yeah, that I need to go back there, so it'll move up into my top 3. It'll probably pass Gates and Arthur Bryanson.
I'm every day I'm still regretting not getting the burn end chili they had there. They had burn end chili, and I passed on that. So every day I think about that before I go to bed.
That. I need to go get that. What I need to get that a few weeks ago when it was like minus 14 here. That sounds perfect. Some burn-in chili.
So, okay, you mentioned that the Arrowhead Tailgate, and that's another thing I wanted to chat with you about, because the Arrowhead Tailgate is legendary. All I think about when the Arrowhead Tailgate is John Madden walking around eating ribs before a game and showing it, right? How does that work? So do you have to know certain people to do that? Because I had an experience. I went down to LSU for a game, and that was the best tailgate I've ever been to. And reason being was you can just walk around the grounds there, and people are just feeding you left and right. They're giving you drinks. It's everyone at LSU was a family, and I'm curious, is that kind of a similar setup at Arrowhead, where if you just walk around, people are inviting you into their tailgate, feeding you, giving you drinks?
Yes, it's very, very similar. I always have a lot of people that come in from, say, Australia or Europe. They'll find me on social media all over the world, and they're always like, where can I go tailgate? And I always hook them up with a big tailgate party, but they walk around and start talking to people. And yes, people do that. I'm so spoiled. It's it's just crazy. I'll walk around and people will be like, XFactor, can we get a picture? I've got a big group here and stuff. And so I'll start taking pictures, and then they don't even ask. They just, as payment, give me food. And literally, walking around, I go to all the parking lots before the game. Literally by 10 to 10:30, I'm like, I can't eat anymore. I just like, and it's like coming out my throat, my mouth. I can't even stuff anymore down. But I always got tons of friends that come in, for the games and stuff. They want to walk around with me and get the Arrowhead experience. So when they give me a plate after 10 o'clock, typically I'll take a bite and be like, oh, that's so amazing. But as soon as we walk away towards other tailgates, I'm passing that food off because I can't eat anymore. I'm going to get sick. Yeah. Probably get a food coma, which is not good when everybody looks for you to be the vocal leader to lead everybody.
Yeah, that would not be good. All right. So another question I had for you is the Arrowhead head that you wear.
Mm-hmm.
Was the first rendition of this a cheese head that you painted red, or how did that come about?
No, it's actually made by the same company that the cheese heads are. But no, there was a lawyer here in town that he was always a business guy. And so he got this, the Arrowhead cut out and made from the same company about the same time that the cheese heads came out, about 25 years ago. And he thought he'd come up with the greatest idea. I don't know if you can see this, but it actually has 3 drink holders. It's got a place for your napkins and condiments, and then where you put your food, nachos, whatever. And so his idea was that you go to the game, you're wearing your hat, you go up to the concession stand, you got a tray, you get your beer, whatever, take it down to your buddies, give it away, and then put your hat back on, start cheering. And so he thought he was going to make money. He found out that he couldn't give these things away. Literally, he finally started giving them away to buddies that had pools because they floated and they could put ice in it and their beer and it float around the pool. And I bought this 25 years ago or 26 years ago, and I was actually dressing up different things. I was painting myself then I became Spider-Man. So it just sat in the closet. And then when I came up with X Factor, I'm like, I'm gonna paint X Factor on this hat. So I brought it out, and then years later, he actually found me. His wife did on Facebook when Facebook first came out, and we met at a bar, and he literally was living vicariously through me. She was like, he literally stalked you. And then she brought out these old photo albums that had all the newspaper articles I'd ever done. She goes, he tapes every game, every news deal you do, you know, every magazine you've been in, everything. He's got everything. He just loves seeing you be an ambassador, wear the thing that he created.
That's very cool. That's pretty cool. So I guess one of my final question, so we're doing a bracket right now because it's March Madness of stadium foods. So when you do go to a game and you have a little bit and you are hungry, because it sounds like you crush the food out in the parking lot. So what is your go-to snack inside the stadium?
Oh, I don't eat inside the stadium.
You don't eat inside?
I'm so full. I'm so full by the time I get in there. No, and I don't drink anymore. I retired from that 43 months ago. So I just drink water inside the stadium. And so, but there are, you know, now at Arrowhead, my buddies, you know, go up and they've literally got barbecue restaurants and everything inside the stadium since they redid it. So yeah, they get some pretty good stuff. I got a buddy that sits by me that always gets burn-in nachos. And I've had a few of those, and they are pretty tasty.
Okay, I guess my final question to kind of wrap things up here, if that's good with Lyle, is, you know, tell us what one of your favorite interactions you've had with other fans. You know, whether it be with the Chiefs, you know, coming up to you, or maybe it's a fan from a different opponent, like one of the favorite things that ever happened to you with fans.
Wow. I've got so many. Honestly, you know, and this will sound crazy to you, is going to the old black hole, Oakland. I went there 5 times, and you know, if you're opposing fan, you know, there's a horror stories that you're going to die, you know, something bad's going to happen to you out there. And the first time I went, I had a Raider super fan named Raider Ron that went to almost 300 straight Raiders games, home and away. You know, and he had been inviting me to come out there, and all my friends chickened out. Everybody was like, at first, yeah, let's go do it. And then they're like, we got close and they're like, no. So literally the week before the game, I called up Raider Ron, said, all my friends have ditched me. I don't think I'm going to come and he was like, come on, I'll take care of you. And literally going into the black hole as X Factor, you know, Chiefs fans were so scared that they would literally come up to me and take pictures with me. And then they would have a black shirt on and they would pull it down and say, we're actually Chiefs fans, you know. But what I found was, you know, the super fans in Oakland, man, they are so passionate, you know. And when they saw how passionate I was for my team, there was just a mutual respect, which grew into love. And actually, Violator, who's probably the most well-known Raiders fan, he's got all the spikes all over him and the silver and black painted across his face, is actually one of my very best friends. I talk to him all the time, you know, and so that's one of the neatest things. Something that I thought was going to be the scariest thing in the world actually has been my favorite away game trips, is going out to Oakland. I'm so sad to see it they're in Vegas now.
Yeah, I'm curious as to how that whole black hole experience is going to be in Vegas. We're actually having Violator on next week, so it's we'll have to tell him you say hello.
Yes, yeah. Me and Wayne love each other, man. So yeah, definitely give him a shout out. You know, he's the best. He should have went first. You know. but I'm sure he would say the exact same thing, but yeah, it's just unbelievable, the passion, and like Violator says, it's kind of scary because now that's an away game for all those super fans, and tickets went through the roof. There's a lot of questions. A lot of the super fans aren't going no more. And the Raiders fans will be the first to tell you, the guys that give them the bad name, they call them one timers. So they're guys that live wherever, in America, and they fly into Oakland and they think that they've got to be a thug, because that's the Raider way. And they're the ones that cause the trouble, the passionate season ticket holders, super fans, all those guys, most amazing people, so nice, so welcoming, totally blew me away because I was expecting what I heard, from people that, yeah, go to Oakland, you're going to get batteries thrown at you and they'll stab you and, maybe shoot you, and so, yeah. But it's not like that.
So my final question for you, I guess it's more of, I don't know if it's a question, but the more we've talked to super fans like yourself, we've come to realize like there is a greater good that, this is obviously a 365-day job for you at this point. And yeah. I think giving back is a big piece of that. A lot of the times, you're a face of the team that is, a lot more recognizable than maybe some of the players, especially some people in the communities that don't have the access to go to games. So I know you have a charity, I know you speak to schools. Can you talk about that a little bit and how that all came about and what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah. So my organization is called KC Superfans. And yeah, it all started kind of, Derek Thomas introduced me to a lot of stuff. Derek used to go read to kids on Saturday, and he created what's called Third and Long. And so I got introduced doing some charity work. And Lamar Hunt, our late owner, was huge about the players and the community and helping the community and everything. And then when Priest came, he formed what was called Team Priest. And I actually was the guy when Priest couldn't make appearances. Then I went and, made the appearance. And even if Priest was there, I was there, so I really got heavily involved. And when Team Priest went away, that's when I decided to form KC Superfans with 4 other super fans. And we actually, the neat part of this is a lot of us got inducted in the Pro Football Hall of Fame, in the early 2000s and stuff. And so we went to Canton, Ohio, and us choose super fans actually, sat down and had meetings with the Hogettes from Washington because they had the biggest charity organization out of all the teams and stuff. And that's how we, formed ours. And the neat thing with Canton is now there's an organization called FUFA. And so whenever we go up to Canton, Ohio, we help, the Boys and Girls Clubs United Way together. So it's neat to come together with fans from all the teams to do national stuff. But then, like you said, it sprinkles down to, all the local fans, then they get their fans fired up. Violator does a lot, and some of the stuff that we've incorporated in Kansas City, Violator actually has started out in Oakland and stuff like that. And it's, literally, like I said, it on the national level, it literally, brings guys together like no other. Me and Violator are supposed to hate each other. There's not much more rivalry in NFL, Chiefs versus Raider. And he is African American. Obviously, I'm a very white guy, but literally, he's one of my very, very, very best friends. I love him. I love our conversations because literally, in a 30-minute conversation, we probably say 50 times that we love each other, and that's so neat, that the charity aspect brought us together. Sure, football is the platform that initially did, but it's a charity work. And honestly, I could speak for myself and a lot of the super fans have been doing this for 30 plus years. If it wasn't the community aspect and giving back to fans and bringing smiles and happiness to kids and getting to go to hospitals and schools and all that kind of stuff, I wouldn't do it, because you can only be on TV so many times, and all that stuff wears off. That's not the thrill of it and stuff. So yeah, it totally. I tell everybody I'm powered by kids' smiles, and I see that, and us older super fans see that as our purpose is to extend the torch that has been extended to us. Because I had a super fan here in Kansas City named Arrowman that basically passed the torch to me. I grew up watching him on TV and just thought he was the coolest thing in the world. And then he became my best friend, but he passed that on to me. And so I try to pass that off to every kid that I meet, just, what it means to be part of Chiefs Kingdom or Chiefs family, and supporting each other and helping each other and, making the community a better place to live.
That's great. That's unbelievable. And that's one thing that, I think Adam and I have just grown such a great appreciation of talking to folks like you. It's, there's much more behind, the painted face or the dressed up blazer. And, there's much more behind that person than, what they do on Sundays. And I think it's been a learning experience, at least for myself. I don't want to speak for Adam, but
yep. Yeah, absolutely.
To learn about that. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. We battle, because the stereotype, if you see me on TV, you're like, oh boy, that guy's drunk and, he's doing it because he wants to get on TV and get attention that way. And he wants to be famous. And no, if you meet the guys that have been doing it forever, we don't care about that stuff, and that's totally not who we are. And the guys that done it forever, most of them, they may have a beer or two, but they realize that how many eyes are on them, and young, impressionable eyes. So, we try to hold ourselves to a different standard, because you never know when there's some kid that's looking up to you, and you can totally influence their life by the way you act, and stuff. So yeah, it's such a blessing, and I just love giving back to the community and being able to help kids, and yeah, it empowers me, and that makes it something else. If it was just a 16 or 19 week deal where you're dressing up and going to games and parties, sure, that's fun, but it's all those other days throughout the year. Typically, non-COVID, there's some years I'll make 200, 250 appearances, and that's truly what drives us and what we truly love. We love the game, don't get me wrong, but we love the relationships that allows us to, get involved with and meet some truly amazing people.
Awesome.
That's great.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate having you on, Ty. And we do what are you on social so people can give you a follow?
On Instagram, I'm XFactor Ty Routen. If you go to Facebook, I've got a couple different accounts because I'm maxed out on 5,000. But it's Ty, TYROWTON. And if you follow Twitter, TikTok, all the other Snapchat, it's Casey X Factors where you're gonna find me on all those other venues. So yeah, follow me. I'm a wild and crazy boy. I like to have fun. I'll do silly, stupid deals. My TikToks are pretty classic. I'll do about anything to, gain a laugh out there. So
Awesome.
All right. Well,
Well,
that's
I do
great.
have one more question for you. Who are
Okay.
the Chiefs drafting this year?
Oh wow. I think we're getting big fat boys.
Okay.
I think I'm old school where the game is won in the trenches. The big old fat boys, and we saw what happened in the Super Bowl when we were depleted with injuries. On our offensive line. Poor Patrick Mahomes was it 480 yards the wrong direction. In that game. That was one of the craziest stats. If we can get Patrick Mahomes a clean pocket and allow our running game, especially with our rookie, the Fresh Prince of Hell Air, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, get him a line, to where we can be, not just one dimensional, just with the pass, but be dangerous with the run too. Throw that X factor in there, so yeah. We need the big old fat boys, and we need the little or not quite as fat defensive end when we're a little bit short on that's the other side of the ball there. But I know Andy Reid and Beach, they love playmakers, so I'm sure they'll sprinkle in a wide receiver in there too at some point. So
I'm sure it'll be fast and it'll pan out.
We'll follow along with you. We'll follow along with you to see who you narrow down your pick to be for the first round, because you nailed a lot of those so far. So we'll follow along on social and follow up with you on that.
Awesome. Sounds great, guys. Well,
All right,
I really appreciate the opportunity for me to come on with you guys. And will this be available that I can share with my social media?
1000%. Yep.
Awesome.
We'll make sure that you know that when it gets launched.
Cool. Sounds
Thank
great,
you.
guys. Well, God bless you guys, and enjoy the rest of the off season. And get to Arrowhead, man. I'll take you around, be your tour guide, and show you the best barbecue in the whole wide world.
I'm going to take you up on that.
Yeah, we'll be there.
I am going to take you up on. It's only a 7-hour drive for me, so I will.
Yeah,
we'll be there.
So worth it. You should do that 7-hour drive like 10 times a year. It's like
All right. Thanks, Ty.
Thanks, guys. God bless. Go
Bye.
Chiefs!